This is exciting. This is really exciting. For us, it's like over 3 years in the making. For everyone else, it's like, it came out at the end of 21. Yeah, so we watched it in middle of 22, so it's 2 years in the making, 2.5. Yeah.
So it wasn't on last year's EDAR, it was on the one before.
Yeah, it was on 22.
Oh, sorry, not EDAR, I mean Advent Calendar.
Advent Calendar 22 came out in November of 2021. 3 years later, we've got Arcane Season 2. It has been quite a while. I was like, it doesn't feel that long ago watching Season 1. It doesn't feel that long ago. It feels like we watched it like last year when it's actually been 2 years, over 2 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. We are here for Arcane Season 2. Let's go.
Yeah, we are.
We're here. And we're a bit late to it because Act 2 is already out, and we're only now watching Act 1 because we've been very busy doing stuff in our own personal lives, plus other stuff that you'll see later down the road on the channel. Because hopefully this is going out like before December. I imagine so. Depends how quick I edit these. So, no pressure. I've not edited anything like massive in like a year. So, might be a bit rusty. Who knows? Editor, am I a bit rusty?
Assuming that December goes to plan anyway.
Yeah. Have we, as far as I'm aware, we've recorded everything. It's just streaming we haven't done, obviously, because we're not in December.
For your end, yes. For your videos, not for mine.
Yeah, I've already done my work. I can sit back and relax. I just have to worry about this now because we're not doing it in free app bundles in terms of the videos. We're doing it one by one, more traditional stuff, so I don't massively spend time on doing an entire act and it taking me ages to do. I can just do every episode and it not be like as stressful, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, we're here for Arcane Season 2. Connor, since the last time we watched Arcane, which would have been 2.5 years ago, and as we both know, we both agreed that Arcane was amazing. Season 1 was great. It was awesome, really good writing, characters, and animation was all beautiful and music was great. Has any show or film you've seen since we watched Arcane that has been as good or even close to the quality of Arcane?
I would say yes.
What do you think those are then? Because I have one or two.
The last 2.5 years. Well, there is one that I love, but it is a bit controversial because it has some AI in it. There's a film called Late Night with the Devil. It's one of my favorites I've ever seen. I watched it in the theaters, and I also rewatched it on Halloween. But as I said, it does have a bit of AI in it, which understandably pisses a lot of people off.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but literally yesterday, Coca-Cola released their Christmas ad. The entirety of it is AI. It is very obviously AI. That's an entire corporation having their Christmas ad, which a lot of people are going to see, be completely just fake and made up instead of, getting editors, animators, or even just a crew to film something for an ad for Christmas. And yeah, that's just really bad for the industry. Anybody who does work on ads or anything.
That's very, in terms of the scale of AI usage, that's very different to what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is the studio made 99% of the film, and then they used a few AI tools to make a few ad break screens in the film, and that's it. Coca-Cola's ad is very cynical.
Morally, yeah, it is different. I would say, for me personally, I would just avoid using AI in that capacity at all. It's a very complicated subject. I'm not a total expert on it when it comes to artistry. I can't fucking say the word. Why can't I say the word?
Artistry.
Artistry. There you go. When it comes to that, in an ideal world, it should absolutely be completely by a human being and an artist. So I would say that's what I would like.
Well, one of the biggest issues with it is plagiarism. The other big issue is
because AI is gathering from all sorts of stuff that has been made before and then generating it out of that. So even though it's made up by AI, it's based on other work. So in essence,
it's a homogenized product, and also you are taking away the opportunity for someone to get work as well.
Absolutely, and that's sort of the main crux of it. Is so many talented up and coming artists, or even just established artists. And in this example, when you have an entire corporation making a Christmas advert, which millions of people are going to see because you're fucking Coca-Cola. Yeah, that's not very, that's really awful That's really horrible, and you should feel bad. But yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like that ad. I think an example of where I'm more supportive of the AI technology is when it's a situation where it's the only way of achieving something. So, for example, AI machine learning demixing technology is the only way to separate audio into different tracks without, traveling back in time to the master tapes that don't exist anymore. I feel like that is an example where it's justified because there is literally no other way to do it. And therefore, if you want to do something with it, it's
Could it not
Peter Jackson
be?
did it.
Is it not a case where it could be recreated?
It depends on the context. In the context I'm referencing is when Peter Jackson did a documentary that was recorded in 1969 of the Beatles. You can't hear what they're saying over all the noise in the room, but he developed AI demixing technology that could remove the noise and only isolate their vocals.
Okay,
because there's no separate
I get
audio
what
tracks.
you're saying. It's more than it's a tool to. I guess what you could say is like it's a tool that removes background noise to allow for the actual vocals to be heard.
Well, it's not just that as well, because they've also started using it on their old 4-track recorded albums as well.
Okay.
Because there are the master tapes of some of their old music has multiple instruments baked into one track that you cannot separate without AI. And so it's given that it's literally the only way to remix the song, I feel like it's justified. But it is not the same as AI generated content. It's not generating anything. You're using it as a tool to do things with something that was made by people. Yeah. Like it's I guess to put it in perspective, the reason why I think that's okay is because you're using AI as a knife. You're not using it as food.
I get what you mean. I can get that perspective, and it's still a very complicated topic of discussion. I think we both agree that the example I gave with the Coca-Cola advert is just like the absolute drizzling shits of where AI is going, and I feel like that's very much the more pressing issue in the industry now.
I've looked up. I saw a YouTube video about a month ago saying that like it's possible that in 10 years someone could do AI terrorism.
Yeah,
they could like send to every computer in the world like a virus that gives you a disease or like a bomb or something.
Because here's the thing with a lot of AI stuff I see on Twitter, I can see it and see it as AI. It's like easily caught on. That like there was a clip I saw where it was like horror. Like someone, some account posted a video of like AI, like horror film kind of thing, and it's like there's a person walking through water, and it's very clearly AI. Like that's not how someone would swim. That's not how the water would look. It's like very apparent, and it's sort of just weirdly. If that was actually real, it's on like one of the weirdest directed scenes I would have ever seen in terms of just like visuals and all that.
Yeah, and also the other version of AI that I think is fine is if, like, say for example, you're a very disorganized person and you use ChatGPT to develop you a shopping list at the supermarket. Like that's fine. I don't see a problem with that.
I guess for how I think it's a very much case by case thing. When there's a streamer that I do like that streams Football Manager. One of the things he does as of late, and what people have done for him is AI generate a intro song, like it's a joke and the kind of thing, and it's like he's fully aware it's AI, and I'm just, like, as funny as it seemingly is, it's like whenever someone, I guess I've seen mentioned this is AI, and he's like, yeah, I know it's AI, it's clearly AI, and I'm like, that's not really the point I guess they're trying to make. It's like someone in your audience could have done that, and obviously you've not asked anybody to do it, but they could have done that, and it could be just as good and fun. But the joke, I guess, is that it is AI, and it's obviously AI, so it's a very complicated thing. I didn't realize we were going to get into the topic and discussion of AI after I asked what good things you've watched since Arcane season 1.
Again, I just mentioned one. I mentioned one thing. I watched Late Night with the Devil. I love that.
Yeah.
Are we only including things that have come out since Arcane season 1?
Yeah, well, since we've watched it. Since we have watched it, which was very close together. In the last 2.5 years.
So we're not counting stuff that came out before it that I've watched for the first time.
I think because obviously the thing is like, as we've discussed many times over the nearly 5 years we've talked to each other about everything, the amount of good media coming out is very low compared to the a lot of average and terrible media that's come out in the last 5 years. And Arcane is one of the rare things that's like exceptionally good in terms of writing and just as a show as a whole. So I have one or two suggestions that I've seen since Arcane on the top of my mind that I think were like brilliant.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's as tight as Arcane, but the Doctor Who episode Wild Blue Yonder is up there.
I like that a lot. I would say that I think it has, compared to Arcane season 1. Obviously, that's a whole season compared to one episode of television. But I think Wild Blue Yonder does have very clear issues here and there that stops it from being like exceptional. I just think it's very good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The Holdovers is a great film, but I think that came out. When did that come out? No, 2023. That came out. I don't know if I put it on the same level as Arcane, but it's pretty close. Really like that.
I guess. There is actually a couple. Actually, I just remember there's a couple. So in terms of shows that I've seen, The Fall of the House of Usher, which was another Mike Flanagan TV series, that was brilliant. Awesome horror, loved that. The Last of Us came out 2 years ago, nearly 2 years ago, because season 2 is nearly out. That was really, really good. I really enjoyed Last of Us a lot. Surprisingly, I thought that was going to be like, I was really worried about that, but it turns out, you just followed the original game loosely, and they made a couple changes here and there, but Last of Us was great.
I don't know if this came out after or before we watched Arcane, but it definitely came out after Arcane season 1, and that was Better Call Saul season 6, the last season of that show.
Let's see if it did.
I watched that. It came out in 2022.
Yeah, it came out in April of 2022. I don't know if you watched it.
That sounds about right.
Did you watch it as it was coming out?
No. I watched it
okay. I can count that. I can count that. That's fine. Yeah. So you like the final season of Better Call Saul a lot.
Oh, I love the whole show, but that's the one season.
I've only seen season 1, and I liked it quite a bit.
It's one of my favorite TV shows I've ever watched.
The only reason I'm going to go back to it is when I eventually watch Breaking Bad, which I've only watched like a season and a half of it.
Breaking Bad is a bit of a different beast to Better Call Saul, because I think Breaking Bad as a show is the one that I want to love the most, but I cannot ignore some of the issues. But Better Call Saul is actually as consistent as people say. It's like a nearly perfect, very, very solid show all the way through. Great characters, great plot. It's so just immersive. But that last season came out since Arcane, and it was a great way to end the show. It was so satisfying.
Yes.
I don't know if we're only counting visual media, but there's been some music that's come out since Arcane season 1 that I've really liked, especially recently.
You've been listening to a lot of music as of late.
I have. There was an Iron Maiden album called Senjutsu. It's one of Jeb's favorites as well. It's like a double album, and it's about like Japanese samurai adventures. It's really interesting. There's a Cure album called, I think it's Songs of a Lost World, that came out like the start of the month. That's a great bit of music. I mean, it's kind of hard to compare music to TV shows and film, but
So I named House of Usher and Last of Us. Another great show that was quite unexpected that came out since we watched Arcane was Andor. You've not seen it, but I have. Andor season 1 was legitimately like really good and like shockingly good for the amount of like really good character work there was, and the fact that the show actually explored relatively in detail, not super in detail, but the Empire and not just their evil bad guys. There was actually some depth to it, and that was really nice. I think it's Tony Gilroy. I think that's the name of the creator who did the screenplay for Rogue One. Yeah, they did a bloody good job with that show with season 1, and I'm looking forward to season 2 in the new year. I think it's out in March or April or something around that time, so that's going to be very exciting. One of the things I've played since we watched Arcane was God of War Ragnarok. That game is like one of the best story games I've played in like a decade. It is insanely good. 2018 was a really good story, but Ragnarok was fucking brilliant as a story. I need to replay that at some point because it's been now 2 years since I played it. That game is fucking awesome, and the story is absolutely brilliant. I think, honestly, out of the things I've mentioned, I think that's probably the closest to Arcane in terms of quality of writing and story since I watched it. So all in all, not a lot. I have watched the first episode of The Penguin that I hear through the grapevine is like legitimately like excellent in terms of writing. So I've got that to look forward to. All of that, I would say Arcane is still the best thing I've watched in like the last 5 years, I'd say. I think it's exceptionally good season one.
If you're forcing me to choose, I think I'd put Better Call Saul season 6 slightly above Arcane.
Interesting.
And I think it does have a slight advantage in the sense that you've got so much more time to invest in the character.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget it's the 11th season of the saga as well, because Saul Goodman and some of the other characters like Mike have been there since Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So it's a big, long story, and I just think it's just comparing like levels of investment. Like I was so just absolutely sunk into my knees and invested into that show when I watched it. And I was absolutely torn when it ended. So that has to count for something.
It's a show that ended when it wanted to. And speaking of that, today we will be watching Arcane Season 2, the final season of Arcane. It's only 2 seasons. They're ending it in this season. And we didn't know that at the time when we watched Season 1. We didn't know how much was going to be explored. But it is just going to be 2 seasons. But they are going to be making other stuff in the Legends universe. So it won't just be Arcane, which is a good thing. That is very good news. But the story of Vi, Jinx, and all the characters surrounding them, their stories, I guess, will end in this season. So what is your thoughts going into the second season of Arcane?
I guess the only thing I've been thinking about recently is I hope I haven't forgotten anything important. Because I haven't rewatched season 1 at all.
Obviously, we got our coverage on the channel I edited it for it, so I remember a good chunk of it. But yeah,
I remember pretty vividly. Like I remember a lot of the characters and what journeys they had.
Do you remember what your favorite character was from season 1?
Silco, and followed closely by Victor.
Yeah, because Victor is a very interesting one. You mentioned it when we were about halfway through season 1. That you didn't talk about Victor a lot, but the story he is on, you enjoyed quite a lot as it went on, and sort of like how it was ramping up, and you really just enjoyed his character.
I also think they used the animation sequences well for his character visually.
The animation just in the entire show is utterly beautiful. It's probably one of the best animated shows ever made in terms of pure just quality animation. Yeah, like it's insane.
It's that sequence where it's a side-scrolling shot and he's walking and then he starts like
running.
His legs start to run. Yeah,
that scene is awesome, and he's outrunning the boat, which is in the background. That is like generally beautiful. Also, the shot of I think it's Mel, I think, sitting down, or someone sitting down, and then it transitions to Victor, and then the camera spins round from the sort of inner like grossness of the crystal thing, and then it zooms around to his face, and that's a really good fucking shot. That's like one of the best shots in the show.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. There's some like Arcane is like beautiful. It is a beautiful show. And from what the things I've seen, because I'm not totally unspoiled, because, it's been over a week since Act 1 came out, but the little bits I've seen, the very few bits, the show is still very beautiful. We've got that to look forward to at the very least, that this show is bloody gorgeous. But in the end of, I guess we can quickly summarize what happened at the end of season 1. Silco died, so that's a favourite character of yours gone and dead. You must be very sad about that, I imagine, but it was a natural end. It happened, and it was very, very well built up to. Jinx decided to stay as Jinx. She was given a choice. I guess, Vi was given a choice. Kill Catelyn and Powder will be back, or Silco dies and Jinx will remain. And Jinx remained. And then shot a rocket launcher into the capital, where there was a meeting going on with the council to allow the lanes to have their independence. And they all voted yes. But then as soon as that happened, they got blown to bits in terms of implication. Not just before Mel's back shield thing went off to imply that she will at least survive. But that was the end of season 1. That was the cliffhanger. Other parts was like Marcus was a very small part and he died. Catelyn and Vi have got a thing going on. That was very well built up too. Jace and Victor, obviously, very good characters, good connection with each other. Jace is my favourite character from season 1, which is a very underrated choice from a lot of people, I guess. Yeah, and I guess the sort of setup is, with that act of war, I think one of us coined it at the end of season 1. There's a lot of bad things that are probably going to happen because of that. But my main concern is who is going to survive out of that room in the council. It was suggested that, I guess, in terms of if the show had the most amount of balls, everyone in there will die. I don't think that'll be the case. I think Victor, Jace, and Mel obviously survive because, reasons. They're the main characters. They will probably survive. The rest, I imagine, will probably die.
I just remembered my most hated scene from season 1. It just flashed.
What is your most hated scene from season 1?
Well, it's when they go into the bar and Imagine Dragons are playing in there.
Oh, no, that wasn't in a bar. That was... Vi was going to find... I can't remember her name, but Silco's second into command, I guess you could say, who had a robot arm. She walked past Imagine Dragons in the street, but they were playing a song in universe, which is the main thing.
Yes, I remember getting very annoyed at that.
But they play League of Legends, Connor. They're big fans.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Episode 3 was the best episode of the season. You I think it was episode 6. Was it 6? But when
I can't remember.
It was when Vi and Jinx came back together at the end. You have that scene where Powder launches the flare, which was given to her at the end of episode 3, or just before the end, by Vi. And then we had that really good scene of I can't remember, Clanger and MauLer? I think so. Clanger and MauLer, who died in episode 3, the 2 kids, the big guy and the goblin-looking guy. They died, unfortunately, because of Powder, because she sent in a monkey bomb with one of the gems. That happened, and that was very sad. And Vi was very angry. That's my favourite scene of the whole show, of season 1, was that scene between Vi and Powder. Just absolutely amazing acting for an animation in terms of visuals, which is quite something to say. But yeah.
Cool. There was something I watched recently that's not, that ended 5 years ago, but it reminded me of Arcane, and it was Legion. There's a sequence in Legion that's similar to a fight scene from Arcane. The fight scene, it's not exactly the same, but it just reminded me, when there's that fight scene where there's all that animation, in the fight. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Are you referring to the bridge scene?
I believe so. Yeah, the bridge scene.
The bridge scene with Echo. I think I can't remember what his name is. Little Man.
Yeah, I know the one.
And Jinx.
Yes,
that was awesome. That scene.
There was So I recently watched Legion. There's a scene in Legion that reminded me of that. It's not exactly the same, but it has the same spirit of a fight with visual theatrics.
But yeah, that bridge scene was in season 1 was awesome. Probably the most popular part of the show, I think, in terms of animation. That was insane. I remember you were amazed by that ending with those visuals. That was really good.
Yes, the visuals were very good.
Yeah. The show, as we've said many times already in just this one recording, and we haven't even started season 2 yet, the show is beautiful. It's one of the best looking shows I've ever seen. Yeah,
and also let's not forget something that we haven't mentioned that was really great about season 1 was the politics as well.
Yeah, the politics was so good. They were awesome.
And the world building and how it rippled onto all the characters.
Episode 2 does a lot after episode 1 to really get us to understand topside, because you have the underground, the undercity, the lanes. It has many names, I remember, in season 1. You get a lot of that in episode 1 because obviously the main characters are there, that we follow the most. But then episode 2 of season 1 is a very good episode for getting us to know Jace, Victor, and then just topside for a lot of
and then
the hierarchy,
I remember
I
specifically remember episode 4 focused a lot on that.
Yeah, because that was 5 or how many years later it was after episode 3. It was a big time jump, so it had to do a lot to establish where the city was at that point in time with Jace's creations and science. And that episode was a lot of establishing what had happened in the times past. They had the Hex Gates, which was like the I guess you could say like it's a bit like the Bifrost, which is a good big old tower teleporter that teleports ships. And that's obviously good for business, as they said in the show. They are like massively useful and like are very high valued by people. So yeah, the city's like doing very well. So the prospect of an incoming war potentially isn't going to be great for business, I imagine.
Yes, but it will be great for the show.
It will be, hopefully. My hopes is that the writing is at the very least close to as it was in season 1. I imagine it'll probably be a bit harder, considering where we left off, because I think we can both assume there's going to be a bit of plot armor at the beginning of this. And not that season 1 was without plot armor. There was instances where there was that, but compared to stuff that we normally watch, which is quite bad, yeah.
The scenes with those MauLer bots, I remember specifically.
You mean like the guards? Yeah, the guards who had the masks. Yeah, the Piltover guards. I think they're called they're called enforcers, which people in the Undercity do not like. They're very, very against them, as we learned in the first 3 episodes. You also had that in the first 3 episodes, you had that woman enforcer with the very distinct voice who died in episode 3, who was like the link with the top side and the Undercity with Victor. They had like, obviously their deal going on. Yeah, the stuff with Marcus and I imagine there's probably not going to be anything with Marcus's family. I imagine that's done. I imagine we're not going to get anything on the daughter, probably. But it'd be cool if we did, though. I'd be into seeing that if they decided to explore that. But I don't think they will. But yeah, I guess there is nothing else we can say. I guess we should finally start Arcane season 2.
Well, we're yapping on.
Yeah, but hey, what's a EDAR without yapping in the beginning for half an hour about bullshit?
That's right.
But yeah, I guess we should start the episode. I'm very excited. I imagine you are as well. Let's just get into it. Let's just watch a show.
Yeah.
Let's watch a good show.
Let's do it.
Hopefully it's good. Netflix. We make sometimes good or bad shows.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss.
It is indeed. Yep, as I thought. Oh, that's cool. Jace covered Mel. That's really cool as a detail. It makes you think how much time they would have had when the launcher went into the room. Already it looks stunning.
We have come here to inspect the bad writing.
Oh, she's alive. I actually did not expect any of them to be alive. Well, he's dead. Oh god, his legs are gone. Yeah, Catelyn's mum, I imagine, was definitely going to be dead. Oh, what's your other favourite character?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Victor is probably very hurt. And Jace is about to discover some stuff. God damn, these visuals are only like 2 minutes in. Oh boy, right back into it. Jesus. Oh, a new intro as well, by the way. This is very different.
Up to the sounds of the silence that allows for my mind to run around.
That were your favourite song, though?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure this will be on the video that I did with Sky and Jeb about great music.
This is very different from the first season, because the first season was like statues. This one's very visually based.
Now I can actually imagine this as a mid-2010s SmackDown theme.
Oh yeah, that's a very different intro to season 1. It seems more trauma based. It seems like they're all going through trauma.
Oh, this is lovely.
Jesus.
There's an ocean so dark down below the waves.
Yeah, I think we can safely say the visuals are going to be just as good.
There's silence so soft, it's only memory.
That is fucking beautiful, my god. Yeah. They've pretty much suffered like a terrorist act, and that's like mental to think about. Also,
I do like that
remember, as in season 1, all the songs are original for the show.
I do like that these days you get more stories that take this kind of thing more seriously.
It seems like this is one of the rare shows that takes the kind of thing very seriously.
Well, there was a lot of films in like the 80s and the 90s that did not take this seriously at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
like
you
they
know,
focus on the impact of the explosions, but not the after effects.
I'm very interested to see what this does to Callum in terms of this season.
Oh my god.
I'm glad it looks like exactly the same as season 1. Like, it just looks like exactly the same. And thank God for that.
'Cause I couldn't keep it all down.
Oh, that was beautiful.
A good friend. I don't know how we'll face this crisis without her.
To think, we nearly extended sovereignty.
I'm actually really shocked that
Creatures
they
who did
kept
this.
some of them alive. I'm actually really surprised by
We're
that.
charged with imposing order, and we've been asleep at our posts. While my eyes are open, there will be no more fairy tales of peace until we scour our basement of its demons.
As we are at war, I thought it prudent to solicit the advice of such an experienced veteran.
Let us address the matter at hand. Our people are scared, suffering. They need to know their leaders have the situation under control.
We flood the Undercity with enforcers, armed with hex tech.
Innocents will be caught in the crossfire.
How many more counselors have to be blown to pieces before you finally wake up? We are under siege!
Yeah, so much for
What is
peace.
she doing?
She confirmed this was the act of a single deranged individual.
Jinx.
Silco is dead, the underground leaderless. If we follow your plan, we risk unifying them against us.
So what is your solution?
We use a division against them. Pin the attack on Jinx. Post a reward too substantial to ignore.
I'm sorry, Mel. I'm not comfortable trusting our fate to chance. Our healing can only begin once she's been brought to justice.
Then it's settled. 2-1. We invade.
If I may, in crises such as these, it's imperative you present a unified front to the public, whatever your personal feeling.
Oh, yes. That's
How
very
wise.
true.
I'll agree to endorse the invasion, but I draw the line at Hextech. We have an ethos.
Because
Such
we have
force
seen
must
what
be
can
the
happen if you
final
do
resort.
the opposite of that. Both in fiction and in
Then
real
it's
life.
settled.
Agreed.
Then it's settled. 2-1.
That's quite good. Settled 2-1. You know, I legit thought they were going to kill all of them off other than Victor, Mel, and Jace. But I guess that does make for interesting dynamics. Like, some of them did die, but realistically, they probably all should have died. I do wonder if they are
Yeah.
going to explore
Yes,
Mel's
but
like protection.
Callum, plot armor allows Arcane Season 2 to last more than 5 minutes.
You know, it's been... has it now been 2 years since that? That's been 2 years now. Oh, 3 years, actually, no. 3 years.
3 years since War of the Sontarans, yeah.
Yeah, so 3 years. Fucking hell. Time flies when you're having plot armor in your shitty shows.
I mean, if I look at the wall, you know, my immersion's broken.
Fuck, you're right. You're right. You're totally right. Also, this guy is not doing well.
He looks like a Japanese wrestler.
Yeah, he does, actually. She's right as well. She had Jinx
He's like a
under
he's
a gun.
like a mix of he's like a mix of Sonata and Willa Yuta.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Key.
He really isn't doing well.
What is she still doing here?
I mean, you probably would know if she was in your house. Does she just sneak into houses to look after Catelyn? Oh, fucking hell, well, look at that shot. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
They're gonna pick up where they left off. Aww. First time she's like let her feelings feel in front of someone.
Powder's gone.
We're waiting for the lesbianisms to happen, and then we will explode.
My mother was right.
Is this written by Chris Chibnall? It's Gay Babe.
Babe.
Oh yeah, that came out since Arcane Season 1.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
22 specials.
Well, we watched the first two, and then Power of the Doctor came out.
No more reckless plans. My mother was right. My arrogance led me to take on more than I could handle, and she paid the price.
I have to help.
You can. As one of us.
Kate, I can't wear this.
The council
She's
won't
asking
stop
her to be an
them.
enforcer.
You can show they're not all of Zorn supports Jinx.
I watched them kill my parents. Do you have any idea how that feels?
Yes, I do. I thought you were on our side.
You didn't think at all.
Yeah, I find it very hard to believe that that Vi would accept that so willingly, and obviously she hasn't.
Yes, she's a tough nut to crack, that Vi.
Yeah. I mean, that like you said, enforcers killed her parents, and then yeah, that pretty much sent her whole childhood into motion. Ah!
Hey, watch it.
Who's that?
Hey, watch it.
Sorry.
Oh, new character?
You alright?
He looks very similar to Victor. Not sorry, Victor, to Vander.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Actually, he does look a bit like a mix of them, actually.
In the attack?
Oh, yes. Give me some whiskey.
God, she's so gay.
Wow, Connor, you bigot.
I meant it endearingly.
Yeah. Vi's cool. She's a good character. But now it's time for the best character in the show. My best character. Another conflict he will have to resolve.
Beyond that,
Oh my god.
guess it's as good as mine.
Holy fucking shit. That looks mental.
Yeah. Victor, as always, going through the hardest hardships.
Well, they are self-caused in a way.
He's always going through the craziest shit.
Yeah.
Doing to him.
It's both a mix of his fault and the thing he was tampering with.
Evolving,
It's that fault too.
shifting through booming patterns faster than I can keep up. I still don't understand. He was right next to me. How does the explosion do that to him? And I just walk out without a scratch.
I wonder why, Jace. I wonder why. I do hope they explain
How
that.
did it go with the council?
My
It
mother
would be
sent
interesting
again.
if the bombers target certain
She's
kinds
already
of
gotten
DNA,
her
maybe.
hooks into Salad,
I doubt that's what it
using
is.
his
I just think it
grief
is
to
probably.
make her
It was probably just a rocket launcher.
Mel, I promised, Victor.
It's all right.
A racist
I
bullet.
handled it. I won't let
But I think that was more. It
Kate
seemingly
knows
was
that.
more to do with
You
the
might pay her a
debris
visit.
more than
She
anything.
had-
Like
This feels like
I imagine they need to explain that it's Mel. Whatever Mel has on her body, like, is a shield. And obviously at the start of the episode, Jace was like already holding her.
the scene feels very Final Fantasy. She's got the Silco eyes.
Hey, Sprout.
Mother and I used to come here when we needed an escape.
Well, it's certainly
One of
fucking
the few
beautiful.
places we
Bloody
never
hell.
argued. How's Victor?
I can't even tell if he's still in there.
3 faces keep spinning through my mind.
Oh my god. Oh.
I see Mother.
Oh.
When they found her.
Purple petals.
And every fibre of me just sinks, like a stone swallowed in dark water. But then there's Jinx, laughing. I want to tear that laugh from her throat forever.
Kate.
Well, it was
Then I see
terrorism.
Vi. I asked her to put on the uniform. Suffice to say, she declined.
Vi, wear a badge.
She thinks those gauntlets of yours will solve all her problems.
What if she's right?
Hextech may keep us alive, Jace, but it's not what will save us.
I remember the meeting of Vi and Jace being a great scene.
Have they just been drinking in the street for like days?
And I thought she had no sense of humor.
Like peanuts.
That's right. There's no point in sticking around up here. Except, I'm the one who created the monster.
Oh, more new characters, I guess.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
Junior Officer Nolan. Maddie. It's written on your face.
Yeah, sometimes Vi's tattoo is just a little bit cringe. Just a little bit cringe.
Anyhow, I'm glad you're joining up. Let's just say,
Oh yeah, Marcus.
it's nice to know there's still good ones left.
More funerals. Well, they would have lost short guy, Catelyn's mum, and that robot guy with the robot voice. Well, he wasn't a robot, but he had a robot-like thing on his face. So only 3 casualties is was a lot less than I thought there'd be.
Three major casualties. We don't know about any.
In terms of like the hierarchy, yeah. Obviously, we haven't seen Heimerdinger yet with the others by that tree, like that area with the tree. That was a cool place.
Cedric Diggory was murdered by Lord Voldemort.
I don't know why, but I also thought about that scene.
Cedric Diggory was murdered by Lord Voldemort.
I think it's probably the framing.
It might be because the music was also very similar. I remember the music in that scene.
Well, for me, it's because I watched it recently.
Ah, what an awful movie.
Well, we watched. Dan watched 1 to 8. I watched 3 to 8 because I've seen 1 and 2 a billion times.
Yeah, 4 is very terrible. It's a very bad movie.
The health and safety practices in that film are appalling.
Our hope, our curiosity, our compulsion to leave behind us a world
Who is this
better than that
person?
before.
One thing I will say, not much has happened in this episode. And we're about 20 minutes in.
I have no issue with things not happening. I love boring films, apparently. As I've been told.
Yeah, at the moment it's very focused on the act that happened and a couple of character stuff of where people are at the moment.
My friends who have TikTok addictions, they tell me that I like to watch boring films, boring TV shows, and listen to boring music.
This guy is obviously someone from the underground.
We commissioned the statue so we may remember them ourselves. Not the praying.
And they're about to do something. Probably a bomb? Yeah, that's a bomb. But who is that underneath there? So how did nobody just watch him walk past with that?
Awful, isn't it?
I know he's got the uniform, but he was very suspicious, and he's walking up the stage. This is a bit silly.
I mean, it is filmed in slow motion, isn't it?
Yeah. Is she gonna? No, there's no way. No. Yeah, it's the other people from the Underground Council.
Oh, Jesus!
Why would you hit? That's very strange. Whoa! What the fuck is that? Okay, he's not killing her. Okay.
I'm curious as to what the goal is.
Fear, establishing the war.
And just really likes to hit women.
Jesus! Oh no! Remember her? She was, her son died in that underground base. after getting shot by Jace, I think. So she's going to be very keen to kill people. Oh, you remember these? These are the guys that killed a bunch of troops, but then were really slow to kill Vi and Jace. So we might get a little bit more of that, probably. Didn't think we'd see her again. I don't know why. Oh! Bloody hell. Oh god, these flashes. Jesus. Punch it. Whoa. I thought she was going to do a Hurricane Rana. She's going to do it Nia Jax style.
Yeah. Well, she's not like most girls.
No. Just a bit, yeah. Those things are just like very selective on who they kill very fast. Oh, yes, because... This is good because this is a very interesting dynamic because he did kill her son. Not as big as the hammer he had before, but it's a hammer nonetheless. No! Oh, her eye is like bloodshot red. That's cool. Oh, Jesus Christ. She's a fucking nutter. Oh, no. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's not good. Oh, it's the guy. It's that guy from episode 2.
Yeah.
Quick, help me. Why aren't you killing her? I think this guy's probably gonna die. Jesus! Oh, it's this guy! Yay! He really is he's our new Vander. They're not going to kill him off, are they? I don't think they will.
For my son!
Yeah. Whoa, took your time there. And there's that big hammer. I hope we get more scenes with these two, because I actually really like that dynamic. How different they are. Big
well,
boy.
the straightest man and the gayest woman.
Come on! Shit!
Oh no, what poor timing. For like no reason. God, there are a lot of bullets in that gun. Yeah! Oh boy. You throw those. Ah, it's that guy. There's a lot of big meaty men now in this show, which I think is very needed.
A lot of powerhouses.
Yeah. Like, look at that guy. Ah, she's dead. Oh, I guess that's it. Is it not? Oh, there's more episode. I thought that was the end of the episode.
My instinct told me that was slightly too short to be the end.
Yeah. So yeah, they've made the first move in this war. Twice. Yeah, I don't imagine there's going to be any more peace. Any potential of peace. Though we didn't lose anybody important from that.
Thought for sure you were gonna get yourself killed.
A memorial? What kind of animals? All they did is piss me off.
They bloody pissed me off.
This battle was on your soil. Down there, you'll be on their terms.
None of this is on our terms. She dies and leaves this giant hole, and I'm just supposed to fill it. Like she was never there to begin with.
Hey, you won't. The hole gets smaller, but you never fill it.
How cute.
I was wrong to spring the badge on you. It's just every way I slice it. If I go after your sister alone, one of us comes back in a box.
I know you doubt the merit of your birthright, Caitlin. There's wisdom in that.
It's very lovely music.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crown.
That's the name of the episode, I think. Heavy is the crown.
But it keeps bleeding. This is what you asked for. Heavy is love. Heavy is the crown.
That's interesting because usually it's heavy as the head that wears the crown.
Does anyone still doubt that our enemy is greater than one deranged individual?
You did kill one of the people on their council, to be fair, though.
I thought we took
You did
every
slice her
measure to
throat.
secure it. I thought we took every measure to secure it.
They must have had help from someone up here.
We aren't prepared for a full-scale invasion. The Undercity's attack proved that.
This is a closed council meeting. Who let you in here?
I am a decorated officer, leader of House Kiraman. Address me with respect, or keep your mouth shut. I will lead a strike team into Zorn with 3 objectives. Locate Jinx, dismantle Shimmer, and neutralize any agents still loyal to Silco.
What makes you think you'll fare any better than our forces today?
We have character names.
We've got a few surprises of our own.
They officially have made Hex Tech weapons.
Yep, they've downloaded the new DLC.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a bit. Ooh.
Slight twitch.
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
I actually thought that was going to be the end of the episode.
Yeah, no, I actually did think that was the end.
It's this guy, the inventor of Shimmer. The guy who had who has a certain thing hanged up in his room. Woohoo! Oh boy, we are back. We are certainly back.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I guess initial thoughts. I thought that was okay. Thought not a lot happened, and there was some decent character stuff. However, I have a very big complaint about the ending there, with a certain individual.
Well, go ahead and address it.
I don't think they gave a good enough reason for Vi to become an enforcer.
What do you think they're trying to pin it on, specifically?
It seems... I actually don't... Seemingly, they think that enforcers killed her parents when she was very young and has had these many, many years of resentment towards enforcers. And I feel like that's pretty massive. That is like a young person almost whole life and viewpoint towards certain group of people, which is, I guess you could say the police force of Piltover. I think realistically, we had 3 scenes. I guess you could point towards what would be her convincing. It was the scene between Maddie and Vi just before the, I guess, funeral. Not real funeral, but I guess announcement of like talking about it. Maddie tells the story of like what Caitlin talked about with Vi, how if they had a heart like Vi, then they'd be in a lot better place. And I guess that is what they're trying to say is the convincing turning point for Vi to join the Enforcers. I don't think that's good enough, realistically. Had to have one person.
I suspect that 2 episodes may have made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. But... And I would have been fine with the end of the episode being that, just not Vi there. I think if Vi wasn't there, and then you have in like episode 2 or 3, like the end of episode 2 or 3, her finally join. You could have a thing, and you have a lot more material.
You could have a thing of the other ones have it, and she is looking at the cost, like the armor, and is tossing up on whether or not she wants to do it.
Like she wants to help, but it's like like she said, the Enforcers killed her, like essentially her family, and she has spent years in her childhood to then the years she had in prison under, being in prison because of Enforcers. Yeah, I don't think one conversation with Maddie is going to change her entire perspective on that. And I understand that she obviously loves Caitlin. Like we got more hints of their relationship and their feelings.
That's what I was trying to say, is that it feels they're trying to pin it, a lot of it, on her love for Caitlin.
Yeah.
But it's unbalanced in how it connects to her past.
Exactly. It feels like as she says in that scene of them when Caitlin finally opens up and cries, which I think is really good. The first 10 minutes of Caitlin being very stoic and holding it all in, but you can tell there's a lot going in her mind, to then finally breaking down when she sees Vi one-on-one. That was great. That was a really good moment. Then it's Vi wants to go more undercover like they were before, but Caitlin's perspective is, no, we do it by the book. We do it with Enforcers. We do it properly. And she says, Vi wants to help. And she gives her the badge, which is the Enforcer logo, I guess you could say. Yeah. As she says, she doesn't want to join them because, Enforcers. She doesn't want to wear this. They killed her family. That still should be a conflict, because obviously, a lot of time has passed. Obviously, people can change. I think Vi understands that. You're still going to have that resentment, no matter what, unless you obviously build towards, having that be the arc.
Even in this episode, she said about a different topic, but she said, the hole gets smaller, but it never fully goes away. And her association with the Enforcers is a hole in her past that hasn't gone away. So there should be a lot of inner conflict over this decision.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like... I feel like they're trying to have that... like I mentioned before, the scene with Maddie outside, I feel like is sort of that's the scene we're meant to think is the turning point of oh, that's the convincing point of, that Caitlin told everyone how great you are, and if we were like you, we'd be a lot better. So it's her thinking so if I do join the Enforcers, I can make them better and, better people and in a better force. Again, I don't think that's nowhere near good enough a reason for her to finally join the Enforcers. Obviously, in the next 2 episodes, we can have conflicts of interest, and she can actually establish, she was very hesitant and probably still has doubts, and then maybe probably leaves the Enforcers again. Or leaves the Enforcers just in general. But I don't think it's nowhere near good enough reasoning they've given for her to then accept being an Enforcer. I think it was pretty weak reasoning.
It changes this perspective that we have on how much she loves Caitlin versus how much her past affects her.
Yeah. Vi is pretty much like her whole story is like what has happened to her, the trauma she has had, and the events that have happened to her, like with her parents, what happened to Vanda, what's happened to Powder, and that all weighs in her decision making and what she views the world. Because in timeline, right, she's known Caitlin for a very short period of time compared to the many, like over a decade of having this resentment towards enforcers. Don't get me wrong, I do genuinely believe that she loves Caitlin and very much cares about her after everything they went through. So there should absolutely be a conflict of like her asking her to be an enforcer, which I'm fine with. Caitlin would do that. That makes sense. She wants her to be on her side, so that all works. My main crux comes from Vi accepting it after what was very, very weak material of it being convincing that she would join the enforcers. Obviously, they can go on and probably do some more stuff to make that, I guess, work. But yeah, I'm not happy with the not a lot we got, really, with her being convinced. This should have been done over 3 episodes, like the entire first act. I guess it depends on how quick they're going to go with the story and events. But yeah, I feel like we needed more of Vi being convinced. Yeah, I guess that's my biggest issue with the episode.
Shall we discuss plot armor around the start?
Yeah, there was a lot of I think there was quite a bit of plot armor in this episode. I guess we can talk about the opening scene. I'm very surprised that like over half of them survived what was, you know, a rocket launcher going into a building.
Yeah, there was interestingly a scene where Jace addressed that some got more damage than others despite being very close together.
Yeah, they were close. Here's the thing. I obviously we're inferring this, but based on what we were shown at the end of the last episode, like the very last bit of the season, was Mel's shield thing, I'm assuming, glow. And obviously at the start of this episode, Jace is hugging Mel, like protecting her because, you know, he's a good person. He's a good character. So imagine that's what's protected them from any harm. And I hope that gets, you know, explored later because at the moment it's up in the air, but I imagine that's what's happened.
I mean, if there is a further physical war, which it's highly possible, it could become very useful.
Yeah, it sort of needs to kind of be established, especially if Mel knows this. It depends on whether like Mel knows this or not, because it went off again in this episode, by the way. It was like an alert.
It's kind of like in Game of Thrones when Samwell Tarly discovered dragon glass. It's very similar to that.
Yeah. I wonder if it isn't actually a shield and it's just an alert. I hope it's not that, because then it makes the fact that they were the closest to the rocket like a little bit sus. Because Victor looks like he's like completely going to be dead from what happened. You had the short bald man, he died, and obviously Catelyn's mum died. One of the others lost a bit of their face, like their eye is gone, and another has lost the ability of their legs, and another person, and the robot guy died as well. So 3 people died out of what? Was it like 7? Is that 7 people?
7 named characters with dialogue, yes.
Yeah, 7 or 8, I can't remember how many it was. There's a bit of plot armor, more than I actually thought there was going to be. I'm happy to there to be survivors, but I need to know what the extent of Mel's thing was. So I'm assuming it's a shield, and I hope it is, and that's why Jace didn't get any scratches, as he mentioned. And then obviously at the end of that opening scene, Jace got Victor and used the hex core to save his life, quote unquote. As we see later, he's trapped in this like gooey wall that is keeping him alive.
Yes, as always, Victor is going through fucked up shit.
Yep, that's sort of his character, because it's sort of, and that's the thing with Victor, it's very much self-harm in experimentation. So it's a mix of Victor's fault and what this material is. But that's kind of been his story. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. Obviously, at the end of the episode, he did move his mouth and face, sort of. So he still is alive and will probably be free at some point. Maybe next episode, or maybe free. We don't know. So, yeah, that's kind of where he is at the moment. It looked bloody gorgeous. I liked how it looked. It looked very disgusting.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say is obviously the visuals of the episode were amazing. The best part for me visually was the just after the opening credits when they had the sketch drawings.
That was awesome. That was really awesome. Also, the intro is very different, as we mentioned. It seems more what people's traumas are, and which is very interesting. It seems
this
very.
Is gonna be this is such a weird reference to make. But it reminds me of Age of Ultron, because there's that scene in Age of Ultron where people are showing things.
When Wanda gives the Avengers their visions.
Yes, yeah. It reminded me of that for some reason. I don't know why.
I kind of get what you mean. Yeah, I do get what you mean.
The war's over, Steve. We can go home. Imagine it.
Like, the stuff with Catelyn especially seems very trauma-based. There's some other stuff with, like, Amel, I think, also has that a little bit. There's some other, like, stuff of, like, people doing their abilities or, like, skills. You've got, like, Victor in, like, this big, like, black sheet covering him, like he's shielding himself, and he's got, like, a white mask. I'm very curious on what that is going to mean. Because I imagine it will mean something. Yeah, but as you said, the funeral scene, which is like the first 2 minutes after the opening, fucking gorgeous. Really, really good. You have Caitlin and Vi being the only ones who are in colour and fully animated. Everything else around them is like sketch art, like sketch drawn, which is very cool.
Yeah, there's another part of this episode I'd be keen to talk about. I mean, visually first, the scene with the I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it's that one with the purple petals on it, with the chimes. That was a great visual.
Yeah, that was really cool. When she says she says something about spinning, and then the petals like spun around the spiral thing.
Yes, but in terms of character, Caitlin has developed a hatred for Jinx.
Yeah, because killed her mum. Her mum is dead. My mum's dead.
So now they're at a point where, like, I liked the line where she says to Vi, if I go out there alone, one of us is coming back in a box. And I mean, it's kind of showing like Vi will lose one of those two people. That's very close to her.
Yeah. I think this episode has a lot of really good character interactions. I pretty much enjoyed all of them, and there's some really good lines. I think where this episode suffers a little bit is not a lot does happen. If it's very much focused on Piltover and sort of their recovery from what happened, which is all good. I really enjoyed it. Then obviously we get I guess you could say it's like a public announcement or sort of like speech that Mel was giving to commemorate the losses of the people of the council. We then get a guy who is obviously someone from the underground, the Undercity, with what seemingly is... So what is it? It's a weapon, actually. It wasn't a bomb that I thought it'd be, killing the person who was covered up, because that person was one of the members of the council from last season, if you remember correctly, whose son, as it was referenced, son was killed by Jace. So that is a very interesting dynamic. Yeah. She dies at the end of the episode, which I'm not that happy about, because I think that had a lot of potential going forward, having someone with that sort of resentment towards someone.
At least one conversation, surely, just one.
Exactly. So he's like, how do you feel about her dying? I know she wasn't really a character in the first season, but her dying feels like it seems a bit like a waste of potential, I guess. Is how I'm feeling.
It didn't need to be a big story, just one conversation. I would have liked that.
Maybe you can have her survive till like episode 3 and then kill her. I think that would have been fine. Like, it's a choice I probably wouldn't have made. But my main issue, I guess, with the opening of that is the guy just isn't stopped. I get he's in I guess he's in an enforcer uniform, but he is fucking suspicious as hell and is just allowed to walk on stage.
Do you think part of the issue, and this is kind of a common thing in sports when there's a dangerous tackle, is when you slow down footage, it makes things look way more suspicious than they are in real time to the eye.
Yeah, I get that. And I've had that. That's happened to me recently at a football game I was at recently, where a tackle went in, I didn't see it in fully, and I thought it was fine. The guy was sent off, and it was the right decision. But there's also times where you can see things coming, and it's like, obviously dangerous and obviously bad. I get what you're trying to say. In this situation, when they've just had an attack, right? They've just had a terrorist attack. There would be so much security, and there just seemingly isn't. We don't really see the full force of their security and especially when it's just happened. I don't know would they have this full address with this many people with a potential attack again, especially if they believe that's the case. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think we didn't suffer any like major casualties on the Piltover side of things, but we could have. And having this announcement, I guess, in public is like, I guess they would. I don't know if they would or not. I'm a bit torn on that.
I wonder if it would have been more fitting if it was in an indoor room as opposed to
exactly.
outdoor.
That's what I thought would have happened, or at the very least, they would have it be done over speakers, all over the city, and it's like this scene of trying to step back up, and we're gonna fight, or we're going to show them who we are, something like that. Because at this point, yes, it's one deranged individual, but I don't think the rest of the city would believe that. I think they would just think the fucking Undercity are trying to kill us all, the scum. And like one of the guys in the council said, in his sort of perspective, which I thought is very interesting. That's the interesting part of having some of them survive, is the dynamics they potentially could have with new characters like that. I do hope it's a bit more fleshed out, because at the moment it is just slightly one note and one-dimensional. So I hope that gets developed on. But it's a very decent potential for that. The actual fight itself that happened, there was a lot of fucking plot armor. I think we both can agree on that. There was a lot of plot armor.
Yeah, so I actually thought, in terms of Arcane, I think this episode had some of the weakest action scenes.
Yeah, I thought the action was quite weak. I thought it was, for, I guess, writing standards, it was fine. But compared to last season, and last season wasn't perfect with action scenes, like we mentioned before, with the same guys, those like creatures. I do not like them because they've been killing enforcers like they're nothing, but then as soon as we get to the main characters, they slow the fuck down, and then some reason it's just hard to kill them. It's just like, okay.
That is annoying.
That's something I noticed even just in that one scene last season, and now it's happened twice. Now I'm like, okay, guys, you've got to get this under control, because this is not good.
They haven't provided us with believable reasons why they miss, or
but they can make. But as you said, Connor, plot armor allows Arcane Season 2 to last longer than 5 minutes. So that means it's good, right? This is what we're saying when it comes to... It's an old discussion, and I imagine people are already sick of it, as we are. Don't get me wrong, I love referencing it because it's very funny. But, guys, plot armor, when you do it multiple times, it can harm scenes a lot as you keep going. Like, that scene in Season 1 is... There's issues there, but it's just one scene, and it's the one time. So maybe they, in future... or if they never even use them again, it can be fixed and stuff like that. This is now the second time it's happened, and it's again a scene where multiple main characters survive when they really shouldn't, because you've shown us these guys are like fucking ruthless and will kill enforcers like they're nothing, because they are, and that's how they're viewed by the writer. So this is where we say this needs to be better, because it does affect the episode.
I was recently asked in a Discord server about plot armor. I kind of summed it up really succinctly. I said, the root of my belief that sums up a lot of what I really like in storytelling is when characters' choices matter, because that's how life works. So, and that doesn't just apply to main characters, that applies to any person in a story. And that would apply to what, like we said, those characters that kill very well until they don't. And again, whether or not they are successful or unsuccessful in an action scene at killing their targets, to me, should almost always be based on what decisions are made by the attacker and the defender, on top of obviously the environment. And that's also one other thing. But like, for example, I'm uncertain whether this is coming before or after, but I don't, spoiling my opinions on this, I don't really care. The Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones, Jon Snow chose to be stupid and reckless and was rewarded with luck and cheat codes to win the battle. And this is why I complain about plot armor, not because I'm a stickler for perfectionism. It's because when character choices don't matter, then your story is arbitrary and I don't care about what happens in it. And that is essentially the root of why I can be particular about it. It's not about having this crazy, just unfair criticism of everything has to be a perfectly logical scene. It's there is an actual root cause of why it annoys me, and it's to do with I'm invested in when characters' choices matter in stories, and when they don't matter, it's hard to really invest in it.
Yeah,
and it's actually rooted in an opinion. It's not just a scientific study of stories. It's very much tied to, well, the more that character choices actually matter, like they do in real life, the more likely I am to invest in a story. And going back, sort of circling back to the point that we're trying to make, is that the reason why I love some, not all, because it's not perfect, but some of those action scenes in Arcane Season 1, the ones that are really good, one of the reasons why I like them so much is because the character choices matter.
Exactly.
And one of the reasons why I don't like the action scenes in this episode is because they don't matter.
Yeah, like you have Caitlyn at one point being like pushed against like a container wall, and is like there for a good like 5 seconds, and the guy just isn't killing her, and then Vi just runs and jumps on the back, and then they kill it, I think, or at the very least, they stop it, and then Vi just rips its like helmet off thing, and it dies.
Yep.
That's like, I feel like that was the worst part of like the entire episode in terms of plot armor. That was really awful.
Yeah.
And I guess we can move on to the other part of it, was like Jace. Again, we kind of mentioned before with her dying, but I felt like there was a little bit of plot armor there. But that is an example of it being not as bad, because this is a woman whose son died because of this person. She potentially could be like, I want to enjoy this and slowly kill him and make him suffer. But in that moment just before, it's very lucky that Vi was in the right place to find Jace and save him. So that's another example of the plot armor of this episode being quite sus.
It's sort of a bit of a battle of writing, because dramatic reveals make for audience reaction, but also when you see fights in real life, a lot of them don't have these features. And so you have to kind of construct a realistic scenario and then use camera angles and techniques to try and make it feel like a reveal. I think a really good example, actually, of this, of being able to use camera work so that you can hide certain parts of the story from you, but remain a logical progression, is the end battle in The Curse of the Black Pearl. They hide Jack Sparrow from you, so you don't know what he's doing. And when he shoots Barbossa, it makes sense because you can trace back to when you last saw him, and you can understand how he was able to pick up that gun in time. And because the camera doesn't show it to you, it's a surprise when he does shoot him, because we don't know, we haven't seen him from our point of view. But it's not a crazy coincidence that he was there. He was waiting for the opportune moment while Will Turner, put his blood on the coin and was ready to drop it. It's like, it's a moment that's constructed logically, but hides details from you until they become relevant. And that's how you do that big reveal. Whereas in this scene, Vi is conveniently placed in the right place at the right time to save someone's life, so that it's surprising for the audience for dramatic purpose. And they're two very different ways of doing that technique. And one, I think, works better than the other because it's more believable and more likely to happen in multiple different, variations of the same scene. Because like the one with Vi can only happen in that exact cause of events. It's a very specific, things have to happen in exactly this way for it to happen. So it's not impossible, it's just contrived.
It's just very contrived. It's like what happened last season in episode 5, I think, where Vi is fighting that woman with the robot arm, and then right at the end, Catelyn is there and saves her from death. That's another example of that. I think this one is I guess it's slightly worse because at least it was established that Caitlin was following Vi, so there's that.
Yeah.
In this one, she's just getting a weapon. She's getting the hammer to help with the fight, and then Jace is the one who's saved, which is
what's actually something that I usually really like in a fight scene is when I think about it and I go, there are multiple different ways that this result could have happened, and it just so happens that this is the one that happened due to the choices made. But there are other ways that we could have ended up with this result if you slightly rearrange timing and decisions. To me, that replicates what it's really like, as opposed to just one way that this one result could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you can't ever do that. There are obviously examples where extreme luck happens. It does happen. Happens in real life. But I just don't like it when that's all the time.
Sure.
When extreme luck happens all the time, it becomes even more unlikely. Using those moments as sparingly as possible makes them more believable to happen. That would be my take.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say we're not happy with how they handled the fights and the plot armor this episode. I think it's definitely the worst the show has been in terms of plot armor. Because the first season didn't have. There was we're not saying the first season did not have plot armor. It had plot armor, but it wasn't on this level. Nowhere close. In terms of characters, do we think the Vi Enforcer thing is the only really egregious character moment? As far as I remember from this episode, I think so. It's definitely, I think, the worst aspect of the episode in terms of character. I think the other probably closest thing is probably maybe the opening scene in the first scene in the council, where they're sort of discussing what their next, I guess, action will be, I guess. And you have the woman who, I can't remember what she said, but she said something, I'm just sort of like, I'm not sure about that. I guess when suggesting, I'm not comfortable trusting our fates, with, the lanes. But even though they had many people say it was just one person, I get the guy, because his character was very much this kind of attitude in the first season, even with the little we got. I guess that's the only part where I'm sort of like, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. I was a bit half and half on that, but I guess in the end it doesn't really matter. I think that's fine. But yeah, I think the Vi part is probably the very much the weakest part in terms of character. I think everything else is working pretty well, and that was mostly the first half of the episode. The other half was, all the other stuff we talked about, with the fight scene being quite poor with plot armor, and then Vi joining the Enforcers. So I think in terms of character, we're doing good. We're doing good in overall with characters.
Dialogue was mixed. There were some really great lines, but there was also
I noticed that as well. I thought the dialogue, especially in the scene I just referenced, was very very apparent.
She confirmed this was the act of a single deranged individual.
Jinx.
And very basic.
It was uncharacteristic for Arcane, is what I would say. I noticed something was off.
Yeah, I think the dialogue is okay for the most part. A couple parts are like meh, and then there's some other really great lines. Like the scene with Vi drinking, she's spouting her backstory, and I'm just sort of like, what we like she's spouting to this person she doesn't know. So sure. But I don't think we need that. We don't need the recap of what Vi's story is. And I'm the one who created the monster. It's just like, okay, it's a bit strange. So yeah, I think dialogue is a bit, it's weaker than in season one.
I feel like I've got a pretty good sense of when dialogue is. I guess I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's almost like I can tell when something smells weird with dialogue, because I can there's something there's this innate feeling I get. I don't know where it comes from in my brain, but there's just this feeling I get, and I'm like, oh no, something is different about the way these people are talking to each other. It doesn't feel like it did, and that's not every conversation, but there was some conversations I was like, oh no, this is not what I remember it being like. This is very...
No, the dialogue is very good in season one.
It's
almost like
lost
every episode pretty much has like amazing dialogue throughout it all. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah, like you remember that scene? Remember the
it
scene with
seemed
like
to be-
Silco and Marcus's daughter, where he has to like he's tiptoeing around things, but it's still being very threatening. That has some amazing dialogue.
Everyone makes mistakes, right? What's important is that we don't repeat them. They cannot be allowed to resurface. Do we understand each other? Oops. Oh, so sorry. Accidents happen.
I think this episode, while it has very good lines here and there throughout, I definitely agree that I think the dialogue is weaker compared to pretty much any episode from season 1, which is a bit of a shame.
Do you remember when we started Game of Thrones season 6 and like all the dialogue was just terrible for every scene?
Well, people haven't seen that yet. Hopefully by the time this is coming out, it's coming out of like, you know, very soon after we record this. Yeah, we didn't think season 6 was very good, and the dialogue was very crap in Game of Thrones season 6.
Yeah, apart
you
from
will have
maybe
that to
King's
look forward to.
Landing,
You guys want to watch that in December?
King's Landing has some pretty good dialogue, but apart from that, a lot of it was so weird.
Yeah, when you're used to bad dialogue, you can sort of notice when dialogue isn't doing very good. Yeah. I guess the other thing we can sort of talk about quickly is, I guess, some of the new characters we had. We had obviously Maddie. We talked about Maddie a little bit, but initial impressions, I kind of get what kind of character she is.
Is this the Scottish lady?
I think she's Scottish. Yeah, the Scottish enforcer. I guess.
Yeah.
Who talks
she's
about?
Right.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah, there's also Mr. Vander lookalike beard drunk man.
Yeah, who's I guess an enforcer. Yeah, he is. He's got enforcer uniform even while drunk on the street. So yeah, but so why is he on the team? I guess if he's like a horrible drunk. I guess I guess that will be explored. But yeah, we obviously we don't know about him yet. We literally know nothing other than he's a drunk enforcer. And yeah, you also had the I don't know. I guess you could describe them as a fish-looking man. I guess that's what they're going for. He's like all blue, like light blue, and he didn't really see. I don't think he even said anything. He didn't say a line.
One thing I will say about the episode is, I guess maybe because of what's just happened, I understand why the tone was a lot more serious. But oh god, I can't remember her name now. But it's the mother of Jace's girlfriend. What's her name?
I actually can't remember, but I know who you're referring to.
Yeah. She didn't crack any jokes at all.
Yeah, she was very serious.
But that's okay. I can accept that given the circumstances. But
yeah,
I would like.
Yeah, that stuff's
I would like, but before the end of the season, surely she says something funny.
Yeah. You'd think, I hate to go back to it, but you'd think there'd be at least some guards on stage with Mel as she's giving the speech. Feels very silly not to have a single guard on the stage, like, you know, protecting her. Yeah.
I don't like it when people forget health and safety.
Yeah, they're all just sort of like the person. So the person getting in had an invite. Who was the person who died, the mother of that son who died. She has a pass, like an invite, so she's allowed in. You should probably let her see. You probably should, you know, ask to see her face, I guess, even though she has a veil on.
You know, because you know how we talked about politics in this show.
Yeah.
Do people remember like how fucking insane the American airports were after 9/11?
Yeah, they
like
were
how the
and
security
still,
was.
You know, security has changed from that to this day.
Not only was the security strict, it was borderline racist. It was really harsh.
Yeah, and let's be frank, they've had a small scale version of 9/11, basically. That's basically what they've had, and people have members of the council have died. 3 members of the council who have been there probably for decades.
It's
all
like
died.
It's like 9/11, but it's only killed a few politicians.
Yeah. That's also like in terms of the world building or just the world in general. That was probably also the worst part of the episode. Just not having any guards on the stage and just seemingly having a lack of like enforcers there. It seemed like at most I could already count like about 8 different enforcers. Like the enforcers look at the guy walking and not like questioning him at all. And just like, wait, where are you going? Why you got a bag on you? You should be standing guard somewhere.
You know,
they're just letting him walk through.
I can't remember if I mentioned this at the time, but pretty much the moment I saw that cliffhanger at the end of season 1, when we watched it,
Yeah.
I did think to myself, this is going to be a very tricky hole to write out of.
Oh, I think we said that at the time. I said if they had the biggest amount of balls, they would kill everybody in that room, and it'd be so interesting to see where the state of Piltover would be then. But they were never going to do that. But I'm very surprised they let more survive than I thought they'd be. I thought those other two would also be dead, completely. I only thought Victor, Jace, and Mel were going to survive. But no, there was 2 more, and it was okay. There's some interesting, interesting things can come from that, but I'm just very surprised.
Do you think that this has a risk of slightly damaging the end of season 1, given the lack of consequence? Depends. I don't think we really know what the full.
It depends on obviously what they. It depends on what they do, but I'm confident enough to say that is season 1 and sort of the end of state of season 1 isn't going to be ruined. I just think.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it does in terms of the smaller, not necessarily world-building, but in terms of character, it has been great for establishing Caitlyn's reaction because
that was all really great stuff with Caitlyn. I enjoyed all the stuff with Caitlyn. Yeah. I think the end of episode of the end of the last season and this episode, I think if they play their cards right, it can just affect this episode in terms of the state of the world with Piltover. And going forward, hopefully they fix up these issues. And
do you think maybe in terms of metatextually, having that missile be the end of a season has set up something much bigger than it actually ended up being? If that was a cliffhanger to an episode and not a season, maybe you wouldn't expect it to do as much.
I'm not sure. I think I would have expected more just them being on I'm just very surprised there was a lack of security and safety ensured right after that act. I'm very surprised that is a decision they decided to make. And it's not like they'd be shorted of enforcers. That's not the issue. They pretty much would still have their entire enforcers. They only lost Marcus and probably a couple of guys during doing base attacks or something. There's no reason why they would have lost everybody. So there's no real excuse, especially when the events have just happened. So I think that's pretty much everything. Other than the very last scene after the cut away from Victor, we have the guy who made all the shimmer. He's going to a cave where there looks like there's wolves inside there, and he's throwing a bit of gas in there, I guess, to capture them. So we got him to look forward to.
First thing I thought of was the hyenas from The Lion King.
I get what you mean, yeah. Because at the end of season 1, in that little montage of things we got just before the rocket hit, we obviously got all the little shots of all the characters. He was in his lab, and hanging up was seemingly some wolf figure. So yeah, we got that in the wing to look forward to.
That's right.
So yeah. So I guess that's pretty much everything in the first episode. I would say, after talking about it now we've talked about it for about an hour now, I think. I think this is a rough start, but it can be recovered. The next episodes can recover from this.
For Arcane standards, it's a rough start.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is still a pretty decent episode of television, but it's not. It's in terms of Arcane standards, quite low. This is probably the worst episode of the show so far.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. It's not bad.
Yeah, I'd say so. 6. I'd say 6 or 5. Probably closer to a 6.
Let's not forget though, a lot of the visuals and the music was really strong.
Of course, all the production of this was excellent. As good as it was last season. The production is brilliant.
Probably got 5 out of 10 writing, maybe, but
I'd say so. 5 or 6, yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah, but the way the show is made does give it a bit of a buffer.
Yeah,
a bit of a
Yeah, it does, of course. But in terms of writing standards, I would agree it's either a 5 or a 6, pretty closer to a 5. Still stuff to enjoy, but I have a lot of issues.
If it was any other show, I think I'd find this acceptable. But Arcane can do better than this.
Definitely, it definitely could have done a lot better than this from what we've talked about.
Anyway, there's every chance that the next episode's better.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope the next 2 episodes are a lot better and can recover. But yeah, that was episode 1 of season 2. Yeah, we're hopefully the next 2 episodes are much better than this, because we think it definitely can be, because the show has previously been very good. But yeah, that was episode 1, Heavy. I think it's called Heavy is the Crown. Let me just double check, so yes. I'm right with that.
There's a song from WWE 2K15 that goes, "Heavy is the head."
Yes, Heavy is the Crown, episode 1. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. More episodes hopefully coming very soon. Yeah, because we're looking forward to watching the rest of the season, and hopefully it picks up. That's what I'm hoping for. Hope you enjoyed that. More coming soon. So I think if there's anything else you want to say, Connor, before we end that?
No.
No? You've got nothing else to say to our lovely audience?
No. Nothing.
Well, I appreciate you, audience. You've been very kind. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye!
Cedric Diggory was murdered by Lord Voldemort.
What'd you bring me?